I don't want to put a spin on it, but we have to recognize, though, this is a special day in our history for those who have died for our freedom. It's December 7th. Right. So you still got to recognize those who have gone on the front line, because they're not political.
No, we do. And the soldiers, imagine, too, a bunch of veterans sitting around, one leg, all this, watching us deal with Japan today. Aren't they wondering what the hell did I go over there and die for? Remember, at the end of the war against Japan, even though we bombed military targets, the emperor had to go back to his castle with his full waiters, and he was sentenced to, the war's over. You know, when the war's over, they usually don't execute the leaders of the other country. They send you to exile in a mansion. So the emperor of Japan went right back to the emperor house.
Yep.
Can I get a stimulus package?
Let's see.
Can you punish me with vast mansions?
Hey, that's conspiracy Wednesday.
Hey, no, the part that I like so much is that at the end of the day, and he knows it, I said, when you find everything wrong with the system, you still have to go say, where is it a better place for me to get all the opportunities? And I happen to get those. And you know this. Capitalism affords the good and the dark side.
Well, it gives, remember, when you give the idea of the trickle-down system was if you give the serfs, the slaves, the lower-class people little crumbs, they're happy.
That's right. Appease.
That's a Machiavellian principle. Those who don't know Machiavelli is who wrote a book called The Prince, was a famous book.
Yeah.
Was one who trained the young kings of Venice, Europe, to be kings.
Yes.
And one of the things that he said, if you read The Prince, a little teeny book, he says, when you move into a country and take over, you always kill the person in charge.
Yes.
You put the next person up in charge.
Yep.
And tell him if he doesn't act right, you will come back and kill him. And then you cut the people's taxes. You give them a little more grain, a little more wheat, because the common man never cares who rules him. All you got to do is come in, take over, give him a little more weed, a little more food, and he will accept you with open arms.
A little more weed.
Wheat.
I was going to say.
The first one wasn't that bad.
No, wait a minute.
A little more weed, too.
You
Anyway.
Do you live in this area? Do you live where we are? Because it don't sound like it right now. It sounds like you slipped up. It's a little more weed.
This is Cal. It's legal. Well, we're going to get to that, too.
Oh, my goodness.
All right.
Weed over here. All right. I pull them up. I don't smoke them.
It's helpful for you.
You right, because I'm out there pulling and showing my muscles.
Oh, that's not bad. That's not bad. Oh, look at that bump. I had a thin one. Like that.
You wish you had it now.
I told her. See, back then I was about 40 pounds heavier at the time. I remember I was thinking, babe, I might hurt you. She said, Mario, I bend, I don't break.
Oh, yes. Again, thank you, Jesus, for all of the perks and things that we have as women. Yeah.
As she did.
But tell you what, we don't break. But once you get us to break, you better watch out, because we break, it's a wrap.
Don't break.
And I ain't talking about physical broke. I'm talking about up here. You break us up here.
Oh, it's done.
You might as well. You heard R. Kelly. You better run.
Done. The wrath is an understatement.
All right, I got three. We gonna hit. We almost done. We got a few. I want to hit on the way out. These are the ongoing new controversies. I got to tell you guys. I don't know what to say, but just to make you aware. Okay, the Senate approves special bill that allows for indefinite detention and torture of Americans without charge of trial. It was passed this past Thursday. Overwhelming support, 93% of the lawmakers. Only 7 members of the U.S. Senate voted against the National Defense Authorization Act. Remember, I warned you. The fascists will come masquerading as patriots. They will come. They will masquerade as patriots. They're after your rights.
That's right.
So they just remember we already are snatching people up in other countries.
Right.
That's what in Gaddafi, Libya was one of the places we were taking them.
Right.
Putting them in our own little interrogation camp, saying we weren't in the U.S. We're not under U.S. law.
Right.
So they can snatch you. So
coming.
Remember, it's just been approved. Watch out. Your president has done nothing. How about this one? The U.S. Pentagon is arming the police department. Remember, I told you, and I predicted this, 15 years ago? Whatever it was, the Soviet Union fell. I said, watch out. You're going to see the militarization of the police. They got to sell that shit to somebody.
Yep.
So watch and see if you don't see your police looking like the military. They got to sell it to somebody. Okay? You got all that weaponry. The two biggest industries in the world, drugs and defense. I think that's the same people run them.
That's right.
Okay, that's what I say. Yeah. All right, now let me tell you this other one. The government has been working with people to set up cell phone kill switches, much like you saw in other countries that people were setting up that they were trying to use. Now, the hackers, believe me, the hacker community is on this shit, fighting it already. But they all, not just governments, even municipalities, like cities, are searching for ways to set up a way to cut cell phones with a cell phone kill switch in the event of uprisings, people acting crazy, protests like Occupy Wall Street. They want to be able to cut cell phones with a switch. And it's being worked on right now. The city of San Francisco voted to kill cell phone service at a moment's notice. This has all happened because of the Occupy. Well, that was part of the BART. Issues that happened up there.
Yeah.
But I'm just raising, remember that's Conspiracy Wednesday, just letting you know. Now, I got one more. I got a one more, okay, to show you. Okay, here we have a video. I think, let me just make sure I got it, because I think I was missing one other one. I said that one. Detention, torture, political, got that. Okay, now there's one other one. I got to show you this one. This includes a video. This one is from Occupy Wall Street, and it's really talking about the police and who are they protecting today as it relates to the 1% versus the 99%.
Anti-greed Occupy protesters are being allowed back into a New Orleans park after getting permission from a federal judge. Lawmakers already called for an investigation into claims of police misconduct in dealing with activists. The movement shows no sign of dying down across America, with thousands demonstrating nearly 3 months after the first protests in New York. The heavy police presence isn't scaling back either.
He's not getting laid.
The very people employed to protect Americans leave thousands with bruised bodies, burned eyes, locked behind bars, tasting their own blood. The land of the free adopts an entirely new image.
The travesty of democracy, the way the police are totally suppressing the people's rights to assemble and to protest. And I joined the force to protect people's rights to assemble and protest, not to squash them.
In recent months, U.S. police officers have made an enemy of those citizens using their freedom of speech to protest against corporate greed and corrupt politics. Today's breed of American law enforcement is dressed in riot gear and armed with heavy weaponry, body armor, flash bangs, tear gas, and lethal projectiles. As tens of thousands of Americans assemble, cops have been accused of creating confrontation, not diffusing it.
There is no honor in this! There is no honor in this!
She's a journalist! A level of police brutality so bad, a former Marine sergeant couldn't stay silent.
If you want to go fight, go to Iraq and Afghanistan.
A war veteran who survived 2 tours in Iraq was seriously injured by local police officers using flash grenade canisters against Occupy protesters.
What's your name? What's your name?
24-year-old Scott Olson was hospitalized with serious head injuries. In Seattle, the oldest victim of the police-turned-paramilitary was an 84-year-old activist temporarily blinded by pepper spray. The United States, which bills itself as the pillar of international law and democratic freedoms, has consistently placed itself on the world stage as the self-appointed beacon of moral authority.
We call upon the Iranian government to abide by the international obligations.
We call on you to cut that defense spending.
The rights of its own people. Instead of respecting the rights
making wonderful
of his
speeches.
own people, Gaddafi chose the path of brutal suppression. Innocent civilians were imprisoned and in some cases beaten.
We had
Meanwhile, at
Gaddafi
home,
worked for
as
us.
dissent in America grows louder, many say Washington's glass house of hypocrisy has shown beautiful symmetry.
They want people to be able to have freedom of speech, but they don't want that freedom to interfere with them in any way, to be in any way disruptive or challenging to them.
The line that traditionally separated U.S. soldiers from civilian law enforcement has arguably been erased, replaced by what's being dubbed the American militarization of police tactics. Tactics which reflect major cracks in the foundation of American principles such as democracy and human rights. Incidentally, the same principles the U.S. continues to teach all other countries about. Marina Portnaya, RT. New-
Wow. Now, that, again, very upsetting stuff, I know, to people. And it's an ongoing thing because what's happened is when you have movements that occur out of nowhere, like Occupy Wall Street movement, that means people have felt so bad that they just, the energy of negativism causes them just to go to the street. And I'll quote Thomas Jefferson, who said, "Mankind is more disposed to suffer while evils are sufferable than to right this wrong by opposing a form of government to which they are accustomed." In other words, you won't overthrow the government or even think about it till the shit gets so whack. You'll just suffer. You will take shit. That's what everybody knows. The common man will take shit, eat shit. He will take it as long as he can, okay? Until it gets so bad that he just cannot take it anymore. And that's what we think these things are symbols of. Okay, now let me give you, let's move on to a couple. I'm gonna make it a little lighter in a minute. But check this one out, you guys. Had this big old race, I had to show you because I thought this was kind of crazy. Occurred in Japan. I guess it was that a bunch of car enthusiasts who own these really expensive cars, they like to get together, you know, at the club and go out and race their cars on the city streets in Japan. And these are some very expensive cars. 14 cars, among them 8 Ferraris, a Lamborghini, 2 Mercedes. Well, they end up having a collision that is being called by many to be Japan's most expensive car crash ever. A damage of approximately $4 million in automobiles. Take a look what happens when car enthusiasts, way different than the Toyota Club here on Crenshaw.
That's wrong.
That ain't no club.
Take a look. Wow. This is from courtesy of RT.com. It occurred around 10 a.m. local time when a group of automobile enthusiasts failed to avoid a crash as one of them spun out on the wet road. Wow.
I would assume that they have
4 million cars were...
I would assume
these are all expensive cars too.
I would assume this is not a problem for the rich folks. They'll just go out and buy some
They'll go buy
ones.
another car. Eight Ferraris, a Lamborghini, and 2 Benz. And they called the most expensive car crash in Japan.
So the issue is the story is not about them and who was at fault. It's about how expensive the cars were. So there's let me just put this in the span where
because they'd have 3, Hyundais
I'm
and
saying
Compton
this.
collided.
I'm saying this. obviously,
You know what they'll say? The black man had weed in his car.
Well, see, all I'm saying is if it's relative to who it is, all of a sudden you don't see a story wrapped.